Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Bear Maple, your cozy corner for gentle stories that bring wonder to your dreams. Tonight, we have a magical tale just for you. It's called The Door with No Key. So, are you ready? Snuggle in close, take a slow, deep breath, and let's begin. Remember, every story holds a little magic, and tonight's might just open a door in your imagination. So keep your heart wide open. Deep in the forest, Zoe loved to wander among the tall trees, listening to the birds as they sang their cheerful songs. But on this morning, something very strange caught her eye. Right between two giant oak trees stood a door. A tall, wooden door, standing all alone, with no walls, no roof, just the door itself. Its surface was covered with carvings of stars and curling vines that seemed almost alive in the sunlight. Zoe tilted her head in wonder. "That wasn't here yesterday," she whispered softly. Slowly, she reached out a paw to touch the golden handle. But, click! It was locked tight. The door didn't budge. A door in the middle of the forest. With no way in. Or at least, not yet. Zoe raced back to the village, her eyes wide with excitement. She told the other children what she had found, and at first, they laughed. But curiosity is hard to resist, so they followed her into the forest. When they saw it, one boy chuckled, "A door with no house. That's silly." Another girl hurried forward with her grandmother's silver key. She slid it into the keyhole. Click, click, nothing. The door didn't move an inch. Then came a rusty old key from the shed. Still locked. A tiny brass key from a jewelry box. No luck at all. The children groaned and crossed their arms. Zoe, though, kept her eyes on the carvings glowing faintly across the wood. "Maybe," she whispered softly, "it wants a very special key." The very next day, the children set off on a grand hunt for the perfect key. They searched in attics, rattled through toolboxes, even peeked under creaky floorboards. One boy shouted with triumph. He had found a giant skeleton key. But when they tried it, the door didn't even wiggle. Another girl discovered a tiny golden key hidden in a music box. It played a soft tune as she turned it, but the door stayed shut. The forest seemed to sigh all around them, the branches swaying as if watching. Zoe knelt close, tracing the swirling carvings with her fingertips. "Why won't it open?" she whispered. And in her heart, she felt it. The door wasn't waiting for a key at all. By now, the children were more determined than ever. If no key would work, maybe tricks would do the job. One boy shoved his shoulder against the door with all his strength. Another scrambled to climb over it, but to their shock, the door seemed to stretch taller the higher he went. Someone tapped on the wood with a stick, tap tap tap, like a drum, but nothing happened. Zoe let out a small giggle, though her eyes were wide. "It's almost like the door is alive," she whispered. The others crossed their arms, huffing and frowning. "It has to open somehow," they muttered. But the more they pushed, climbed, and tapped, the door stood perfectly still, guarding its secret with quiet patience. As the sun dipped low, the carvings on the door began to shimmer. Stars twinkled faintly across the wood, vines glowing brighter like they were alive. Zoe reached out and traced the patterns with her fingertips. They were warm, almost humming, as if the door itself was breathing. "Maybe it doesn't need a key," she whispered softly. The children leaned in close, their eyes wide. "But then how?" one asked, puzzled. They had already tried every trick they knew. Zoe's gaze drifted back to the golden handle. Deep inside, her heart whispered that this door wasn't waiting for force, or clever keys, or silly tricks. It was waiting for something else. Something simpler. That night, Zoe tossed and turned, unable to sleep. In her mind, she kept seeing the door, glowing faintly, waiting in the quiet forest. Everyone had tried so hard to force it open, but no one had thought to simply ask. She sat up in bed, a spark of hope in her eyes. What if the door just wants to be treated kindly? She whispered to herself. The very next morning, Zoe rushed back through the trees, her friends following, still doubtful. When she stood before the tall wooden door, she didn't pull out a key, or push, or climb. Instead, Zoe lifted her hand, took a steady breath, and knock, knock, knock. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the carvings along the wood shimmered brighter, as though the door had heard her. The children tumbled through the doorway, laughing in disbelief. The air smelled like honey and fresh rain. Trees whispered secrets, and fireflies painted words in the sky. One by one, the children explored, splashing in singing rivers, chasing glowing butterflies, giggling under rainbow-colored clouds. Zoe smiled. Her heart felt warm. All the keys in the world couldn't open this place, but kindness had. She knew this was a gift, not just for her, but for everyone who treated the door gently. As they played, the forest seemed to laugh along with them, brighter than ever before. And deep down, Zoe understood the door would always open again, for hearts that knocked with kindness first. As the children returned home, the magical door closed softly behind them. It stayed there in the forest, waiting, not for keys, not for force, but for kindness. Zoe looked back with a smile. Sometimes, she said softly, the greatest key isn't metal at all. It's in the way we treat others. The children nodded, carrying the memory of the magical meadow forever. And whenever they saw a closed door again, they remembered, sometimes the gentlest knock is all it takes. The forest whispered goodnight, as if sealing their secret in its leaves. And though the children grew older, they never forgot the day kindness opened a door no key ever could. The end. And that, my friends, was the door with no key. A gentle reminder that sometimes the smallest kindness can open what the strongest force cannot. In life, just like in the story, a gentle knock, a patient word, or a caring heart can reveal wonders no key will ever fit. Thank you for sitting by the firelight with me tonight, and for letting your imagination wander through the forest with Zoe and her friends. If you enjoyed this adventure, I'd love for you to like, share, follow, and subscribe to Bear Maple, so you'll never miss the next tale waiting just beyond the page. Until then, rest well, dream sweetly, and remember, some doors only open with kindness. Good night.